really excited to share some of the updates of how we are getting ready for the start of this school year. We're really anxious for classes to begin. The majority of our classes will be beginning this coming Monday on August 24th. And our teachers and school leaders have been very hard at work getting ready for the start of the school year. So tremendously grateful to our teachers and school leaders for all of the work that they've been engaging in over the past 2 weeks to welcome students back. Families should be hearing from their schools this week. Many schools have already reached out to many of our students and their families. If our families haven't yet received a phone call, we want to make sure that you do so, and would encourage you to reach out if you haven't heard from your school yet. We also are in the process of ensuring that our students have all of the supplies that they'll need for this year. So these check-ins are a great way to both meet our students and teachers, make those really important connections, check in on technology and internet, and also support our students with very important school supplies. Many of our schools are actually doing drop-offs of school supplies to their students so that they'll have the materials they need to be successful in school. In the next few weeks, we will be sharing some updated information on COVID risks and the health guidelines that we will be using to determine when we are able to shift back into in-person learning, both with a focus on gradual return. And we know how critically important it is for our community, for our students to be able to access in-person learning. And our goal is to do so safely and with the guidance of our local health professionals to be able to do that. We'll also have an update on the timeline for families to make final decisions about virtual or in-person learning as soon as we're able to offer that. Yesterday, we hosted our first family forum through a telephone town hall for our elementary school families. Tonight, we're hosting a second family forum for our secondary families. We'd appreciate your support in helping get out the word. We call all of our parents and had literally thousands of parents participate last night. It was a great way to reach many people and answer questions. Over 1,600 families participated on our Spanish line, and I believe it was close to 5,000 in our English line. So really an important way to share updates about how we're doing getting ready. It's really important that our families have the opportunity to ask some of those questions, given how different the start of this school year is. We want to make sure that we are able to support people and share the information about the extra supports that we have. I want to share some updates around technology. Given the remote start, we are very focused on ensuring that all of our students have access to technology. And a challenge that we are encountering is a nationwide shortage on devices. And so we are very much prioritizing our students most in need to get the available technology that we have. We are asking families, if you have a device, a personal device that your students can use that would enable them to participate in video conferencing, and you also have a school provided device, we'd appreciate if you could return the school device and allow your students to use their personal device so that we can help our technology reach more students. If families are interested in purchasing a device for their own students, certainly not required to do so. You can purchase any Chromebook that has at least 4 gigabytes of memory. And there are many low-cost options that are available for families through the PCs for People program. We currently use the Lenovo 300E touchscreen if you're interested in looking at devices like that. But obviously, if your family does need a device for every one of your students, please make sure you reach out to our schools. They are distributing technology currently to families who need them. And the same also goes for hotspots. If families are in need of access to the internet, we do have hotspots that are available. We'd encourage you to test your technology before Monday. We know that at times it can be challenging, so making sure you're ready for school on Monday will be really important. We've also partnered with Comcast Internet Essentials to provide free internet to our low-income families. Families who qualify for free and reduced lunch are eligible for the free Comcast Internet Essentials and also for low-cost internet options through Starry Internet. And so those are some of the updates that we have. Would be happy now to take any questions.
Thank you. Okay, our first question is from Tina with the Denver Post, asking any updates on metrics for determining a return to in-person learning.
Yeah, so thank you. We have been working very closely with Denver Health and the Metro Denver Partnership for Health. I anticipate that they will complete metrics. They are in the final stages of reviewing a draft of that, and I'm hopeful that those will be completed by the end of this week.
Thanks. Taylor with NBC News Radio is asking how many devices is there a shortage?
Yeah, so thank you. We are receiving devices in slowly. There, as I mentioned, there is a nationwide shortage. We've ordered close to 10,000 new devices. Part of what we want to make sure that we can do is use the devices that we have across the district in areas of high need. So we are focusing on schools that tend to have high turnover and making sure that we have devices to new students coming into our district. Who are transitioning in at any grade level, but also to our new students at kindergarten. So we are really trying to prioritize low-income neighborhoods where we know students may not have access to a device at home, and those new students who are coming into the district. We believe that we will be able to meet the demand initially, but certainly know that it's going to be important as devices slowly come in to work together as a community. Really want to give just tremendous gratitude to our schools who have extra devices, who are making sure that we can get them out to schools that may still need them. This is a nationwide shortage. We've ordered about 10,000 new devices. They're slowly coming in. And so our hope is that we're going to be able to get all of the devices that we need over time to our students. Please do let us know if you are struggling to get a device. We're going to try to make the very best efforts to support students with access to technology. We know it's critical for remote learning to work.
Thanks. Melanie with the Chalkbeat is asking, can you talk a bit more about the process of matching students who want remote learning with teachers who want to teach remotely? Are most students paired with a teacher from their school? And is it possible that a student would start with a teacher at their school and then switch to a different teacher after October 16th if they want to remain remote?
Yeah, so thank you. This is definitely a very complicated matching process. Right now, as most of our schools are beginning with remote, they are working to make sure that students are matched up with teachers in their building while they are beginning the process of building schedules for in-person learning. We are in the early stages of looking at the match. Most of our teachers who have requested accommodations have already done so, and we've been working with our school leadership teams around the approval process for accommodations for remote working. Our school, the school sizes, the school programs, the number of students requesting remote, and the number of teachers with accommodations who would need to work remotely is what we're going through right now. Many of our schools are really working hard to make sure that we can continue to connect students with teachers in their own school. We may have some small cases where very small elementary schools or very specialized programming, for example, are classrooms that offer bilingual instruction in small elementary schools may do some partnering across a couple of schools to achieve the match, both for teachers who speak the language that students who speak Spanish for our students who are learning in Spanish to be able to do that. We have not yet finalized that. We've extended the timeline for families to determine if they want in-person or virtual. So that's going to be really important to be able to have that information to finalize all of that scheduling. So we'll have more information, particularly as we move into September, as we look at a deadline for parents to make that selection of virtual or in-person.
Thanks. And a quick follow-up from Taylor at NBC News with the devices. Do we have an ETA on when the devices will be here?
Yeah, you know, they're coming in very slowly over time. So we just received a shipment this past week, I think of about, if I'm saying this right, I think maybe 900 devices just came in. We're also working, as I mentioned, across our schools to allow schools that have excess devices to help get those to schools that may be short to make sure that we can help match kids up.
Thanks. Janet with 9 News is asking, is there an update on learning centers that would offer remote learning inside schools? Will that happen by next week?
Yeah, so thank you. We're working really hard on the guidance for our schools. Many schools have reached out and are very anxious to begin to support students with remote support learning centers. And so we are in the final steps of making sure that we have all of the safety plans in place to be able to do that. And so as we finalize that, we'll be working directly with our school teams to help get the word out about when we'll be ready to start that.
Thanks. And then a quick follow-up from Melanie at Chalkbeat. How many teachers have requested remote accommodations?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to actually look it up. I want to make sure that I'm not saying this incorrectly in terms of the number of people who have done that. So one second while I pull up that number. As of, and this may be slightly older information, as of about a week ago, we had, hold on, let me make sure. For our school-based employees, we had just under 700 teachers who had requested accommodations, 32 principals, and about 400 other folks who work in our schools. That information may have changed slightly. That's about a week ago in terms of the numbers who have done that. We've also had requests for accommodations from support team members who work outside of schools as well. And so we're working on the approval process for all of those accommodation requests.
Thanks. Taylor with NBC News Radio. Westminster Public Schools and other districts are returning to in-person learning tomorrow. Can you describe what sort of metrics DPS is evaluating from other districts as they reopen classrooms?
Yeah, so thank you. You know, we've been very committed to a safe reopening of schools based on the best advice from our local health experts to be able to do that. And our commitment has been to be able to use a dashboard that our local health department has approved to help us in the decision-making process around returning to school. One of the questions that came out in our town hall last night with family members was specifically, as other school districts are opening up right now, why aren't we opening up in Denver? I do just want to remind our community, many of our schools still do not have air conditioning. And due to COVID-19, we are not able to use many of the cooling mechanisms that we've historically used in the past. You can't use portable fans. We frequently had very large hallway fans that helped pull hot air out of classrooms. And due to COVID, we can't use those mechanisms. So we knew that even as we think about what a safe return to in-person learning would look like, that we would want to wait past the hottest heat of August to be able to do so. We're very hopeful that based on the work that the Metro Denver Partnership for Health has been conducting, that we will be able to begin the process of slowly and gradually returning students back into our building, both for the remote support that we know is so critical for remote learning while we're doing that, as well as for some of the groups of students who struggle the most with remote learning, including for example, programs like early childhood education. And so as we get that dashboard and once it is finalized, that will really help guide decisions around safely returning to in-person learning.
Thank you. It looks like that might wrap up all the questions. If you have any more, raise your hand real quick and we can give you a minute. Okay, as always, you can just follow up with me by phone or email, and we'll see you back here next week. Thanks, guys.
Right, and if I can just say one last thing, I would like to just really thank the entire Denver community. There have been so many twists and turns in our journey to returning back to school, and I know our parents are just as anxious as I am to have our students back in person. It is critically important that as we start this school year, that we start it strong. We really want to make sure that all of our students are back in class, albeit virtually, this coming Monday, and encourage you to reach out to us directly if you are experiencing any challenges with that. As always, people can get in touch with me directly at superintendent@dpsk12.org. So thank you.
Thank you all.